Dungeons and Dragons is not World of Warcraft, and it certainly isn't Street Fighter. The inspiration for the game, for first edition, really came from books. It came from things like Lord of the Rings. And I don't think anybody would say, well, clearly Legolas is the best character or Gandalf is the best character because they're the most powerful. No one's going to say, well, Frodo's worthless because he can't beat up Legolas in a fight. And yet, unfortunately, this is how we play D&D. This is how we make character classes. This is how we tell our D&D stories. The goal of Street Fighter is to win in Street Fighter, right? The goal is to have an equal chance of beating your opponent. But D&D isn't like that. It is a collaborative effort. It's a story-driven game. And so these in-depth mathematical analysis about what is the better character class to play, it's nonsense. The way I look at power in D&D is it really depends on the situation you're in. My players fell down a pit trap. And this is a very devious pit trap because as they were falling, the pit above them started to slide closed. So they weren't actually able to get out. And they fell into a pool of lava. And the first people to hit the lava were the fighters. Now, my monk character was able to sort of run along the side of the wall to prevent from falling. The wizard could use Featherfall to slow herself down. And then she used Dimension Door to save the characters one by one. And so if the wizard hadn't been there, the whole party would have died. It would have been a TPK. The fighter dwarf that we had in our party, she was basically the tank of the party. She had the highest armor class, she had the most hit points, and she did the most damage. And in a lot of situations, she seemed to be the best character. Well, I did a lot of open battlefields. It was similar to playing Warhammer. And our rogue proved to be the most valuable in those situations because she could climb up to a high place, gain advantage. She had a crossbow. All of her, she was maxed out in dexterity, and she had the sharpshooter feat. And so she was doing tremendous damage and we're just killing off orcs and trolls one by one as they were running down this field. Meanwhile, our tank fighter couldn't even reach any of the enemies in time. Like she was a dwarf, so she had a movement speed of 25, and so she's running down the battlefield with her axe, trying to get to an enemy, and the enemies were getting killed before she could even get there. Every character should have an opportunity to shine and to show that they're valuable. Sure, you might have a fighter who can do a lot of the things that the ranger can do, but if the fighter rolled bad scores, if the fighter has a 10 strength and a 10 constitution and a 10 dexterity, he might not be as good as the ranger, who maybe he has, over 15 in all those ability scores. The other thing you can do as a dungeon master is you can give the ranger a magic item that can only be used by the ranger, and you can make them fantastic in the game. So I don't think there's any such thing as a bad character class. I think all the character classes can be fun and interesting to play, and I really think that mentality of, oh, this character class sucks, it really comes from a video game mindset. But if you come into it with more of a fantasy novel mindset, and you say, okay, we're building a party the same way that we're building a fellowship in Lord of the Rings, if you think of it that way, I think you'll find that all the classes can be fun. You're really only limited by your creativity and by your imagination. When you pick a class, you should not be looking at their stats, their numbers. You really should be looking at, what do I think will be fun to play? Would I enjoy using magic, having magic powers? Or would I enjoy sneaking around like a rogue? Or would I enjoy just running at a monster with a giant axe and just go into town. How do you like to play D&D? That's really what the classes are all about. So that's my Dungeons and Dragons advice. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a like, share, and subscribe. This video was brought to you by the Enya series. The Enya series combines fantasy, adventure, and sci-fi in an exotic world of dinosaurs, gods, warring sea creatures, naked heroes, magic unicorns, and mind-bending technology, just to name a few things. The Princess of Enya, the second book in the series, was included in Kirkus Magazine's list of 20 books worth discovering. You can get Ages of Enya and The Princess of Enya now from Amazon or direct from my site at nickalamonos.com.